In the last 72 hours, market experienced what may be the most volatile session since the 2022 Ukraine invasion. Crude oil was crazy, it reached $120 more or less intraday, and then it crashed to $87. Do you remember why I said I didn't want to touch oil for swing trades, just for scalps? And yeah, yesterday after Trump comments, even Bitcoin went up 12%, while gold is still falling 2% since Friday. So a lot of things happening on the market, but one thing we know it's true is that Trump always has a plan. At least it says that always has a plan. But there's another thing he has, and that's a playbook. And that's exactly what we are going to discuss today, because usually you can track his playbook, but now, in my opinion, I think it's really dangerous to follow that playbook and what might be coming after. So let's understand what's happening on the market, what's the playbook that I'm talking about, and then go to the charts and see if it's working or not. But first, let me know from where you are watching. I want to know from where you are. Let me know about let me know about what you think about the market. Someone is saying that the oil trapped them. I told you that I was not touching oil, only for scalps, and I've been scalping a lot oil on Prime XBT, like I told you, told every one of you. But yeah, just pay attention to what's happening right now, because I will show you. And now I think the playbook might not work as Trump is expecting, but let's see. Good day from the Netherlands. Awesome. So first, yesterday Trump said this, and this is when everything changed on the market. He said that he believes that the Iron War is very complete, pretty much. And this was during an interview on a call, okay? And yeah, it was just a phone call with CBS, and he said this, and then the market went crazy. S&P 500 reverted all the losses, Dow reverted all the losses, and oil did this. This is what oil did yesterday. So yeah, it was, I even joked about this today, but yeah, it was a massive red candle after this, that everything might go well and everything might be well soon, and that the war might be over soon. And that's what I don't believe. Or being totally honest with you, I'm not telling you that the Bitcoin chart looks bad, because it doesn't. I'm not telling you that the market looks bad, because it doesn't. What I'm telling you is that I don't believe that the Trump playbook is working now. But first, I need to give the shout out to the, and I hope I'll say this correctly, the 𝗘𝗍𝘁𝗍 letter, because it's their playbook. I just did another version of it that I believe it will be better for you to understand. So let's see this here. And there you go. This is the playbook for Trump. Okay, this is the first playbook for Trump. And what we have here is, first, it starts with the verbal pressure. Okay, first it starts to say, starts sending some warnings, sending some hints that something might happen, and that's exactly what we saw. Before everything collided, let's say like this, during the war between Israel, USA, and Iran. First, he started to say that, look, we want a deal, we want them to not enrich uranium, etc. So that was the first part of the playbook. Then he started to send their military there. Okay, and this was part of the playbook. Again, second step, the naval fleet was sent there. We talk about that here almost every day, saying no one sends that just for pressure. Probably something will happen. Have a plan. I remember perfectly about that live stream. Prepare yourself for your loans, for your portfolio, short if you need to hedge. And yeah, that was when we are in the second part of the playbook. Then we had the Friday night strike. Even I was surprised. I was thinking it was one weekend before. Then it was the weekend after, but it happened during a Friday night. At least for me, it's Friday, so I don't know. It's from where you live. For me, it was a Friday night, and Friday night, Saturday morning. That's when the strike hit, and we all know. We saw the chart and what happened. Then the markets start to go bananas. Like we say, everything is falling except Bitcoin and crypto. Oil starts to pump and VIX spikes. Everyone is fear, World War III happening. And yeah, that's exactly what we saw. And then it says this, 3 to 4 weeks, maybe longer, right? Maybe longer. And this is after the investors buy the dip. Okay, first they buy the dip. Usually those are good dips to buy. If you have some experience in the markets, you know that these dips usually are good dips to buy. And he still says this is going to take longer, and you can expect 3-4 weeks or longer. And yeah, this is the playbook. Okay, this is the playbook from Trump. And then we had this one. The markets priced the prolonged conflict. Even I here were saying, and I still stand by this, okay, that I thought that they thought it would be easier than it's actually being, and that they might have an exit, but it's not the exit they intended to be. Okay, this is just my opinion. I still believe like this. I even joke saying, look, I think they thought this would be a scalp trade that turned into a swing trade. And this happens to everyone. I'm just going to open a scalp and then you are stuck in a swing trade trying to exit at least at break even. And I do believe that's what happened, but so far it's following the playbook. That the markets price a prolonged conflict, drop now, there's a drop, there's a price to pay like he said. And then you had this one, de-escalation. And this is exactly what we saw yesterday. When he said war is very complete. S&P erases the losses, Bitcoin pumps, everything pumps, and oil crashes down. And he's been saying that. If you follow his tweets, he's been saying that all prices will come down very quickly. So this is his playbook, okay? And right now, we are on the 7th step of the playbook. Then we have the 8th step. There is the behind the scenes negotiation. And then we are going to have a ceasefire, etc. But this is where I think we are in the dangerous place right now. So let me just explain you why. First, we have Bitcoin being the contrarian signal, okay? It's up 12%, $7 million in inflows in March, and the support held. We follow this here. So, what I'm scared right now, it's because I'm seeing more of this. I'm not seeing a de-escalation. Okay, this was minutes before starting the stream. Several of the explosions in Doha, Qatar. UAE is reporting fires on the industrial area. So. This is why I don't believe that the de-escalation is real and that the playbook might not work this time. Okay? Might not work this time. I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. I want the war to stop. But what I'm telling you is that I'm not seeing any signs of de-escalation. Okay? But I do believe that he's still following his playbook. And why do I believe this might be different? I'm going to explain you why. We have casualties. This is not Venezuela. Venezuela was in and out, no casualties. Right now, we already have 7 casualties, unfortunately. This is why I want the war to stop. And we had 7 casualties, so this time it's not the same as Venezuela, okay? 20% of the global oil is disrupted. And we know that we have been doing that. How can I say this? We have been following up on that. The gas prices in Europe are going crazy. Oil, even today on Vietnam, and I think it's Taiwan, if I'm not mistaken. But Vietnam, I'm sure they are telling people, look, work from home, save energy because of what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. Okay? Just for you to be aware, they are saying this. Look, you need to work from home because we don't know how the oil situation on the Middle East is going to prolong or is going to last. So save gas. This is what they are saying. Okay? So, yeah, you need to understand that this time could be different indeed. And then we have the infrastructure that was destroyed. Okay? You need to understand that there was a lot of infrastructure destroyed, not just on Tehran and Iran, but also in friendly states like Bahrain, UAE, etc. Okay? And then we have more. If the strait stays closed, we can still see $150 per barrel. And then you ask me, are you going to long this? I wanted to, I lost my opportunity, but I still don't feel comfortable on longing oil here, okay? Although I do believe that the worst might be over and we have been rejecting here on this resistance, I would be careful, and yeah, things can escalate really quickly and we can see a major spike up on this. But so far, it's looking bearish and you want to stay bearish, that's a good sign, okay? That's the good sign and that's the best sign that we can have. But again, we are having a lot of signs that this might not be de-escalating like Trump said. Then we have special forces on iron soil. Trump already said no. Let's see. I hope this doesn't happen because this will be a big escalation. And then there's the midterms. Then we have the midterms. So I want this time to not be different, but I have all the signs to say that this might be different. And then we are going to have access to this so that you can check for yourself. We have 3 scenarios here, okay? And the first one is that we are going to have a deal in 2 to 3 weeks, which almost goes along with the analysis that I told you that we might range for 1 or 2 months. Oil collapse 30 to 40% quickly, and Bitcoin keeps going on, risk on rally that we are already seeing. And we have a violent repricing and shorts get wrecked. We want shorts to get wrecked, right? Then we have the scenario B, okay? 1 or 2 more weeks of escalation before a resolution. Oil goes back to $120, $130, maybe $150, and Bitcoin can pull back. We are going to look at the charts soon. And we have special forces entering Iran, which I don't expect it to happen. There's always that scenario. And then we have this is different scenario. Let me just do a magic thing here so that you can see some magic during the live stream. So, like I was saying, this is the scenario that we don't want. Conflict extended for months, oil sustained 100 plus 4 weeks, global recession becomes likely, Bitcoin, it's a safe haven strength or collapse with everything. So, there are a few things that we already understood. No one is seeing Bitcoin as a safe haven right now. Okay, no one is seeing it as a safe haven. No one. There's no point of saying that because no one is seeing it as a safe haven. We are having a rally. I already told you, in my opinion, why we are having this rally. So this is what I'm expecting. This is the 3 scenarios, and as I always say, have a plan. If you have a plan, you'll be ready for everything. You just need to plan it. And if you have a good plan, a solid one, you'll sleep well regarding what's happening. Let's say like this, you'll sleep well, taking consideration what might happen to your portfolio. You might not sleep well with everything that's going on in the world, but that's another thing. But just need to plan it, and you'll be okay. So this will be on the description so that you can check for yourself. Again, it's not my playbook, it's not my analysis, it's from the 𝗘𝗍𝗫 newsletter. And shout out to them because it's their work, and I always like to give props to where it is. Now, Bitcoin. Let's look at the charts. I know everyone is waiting for the charts. And yeah, so if you ask me, do I see continuation here? I do. Yesterday, I think I told you this here. I wanted to test the previous resistance and support. When I saw it, I shared on the community that this would be a good long, although I'm already long from below. This might be a good trade, and it was full TP 𝗖𝗍𝗄𝗙. And we can take this. I'll just leave it so I can break a bit more. And now, regarding continuation, I do believe that we might come lower. I do believe that we might test 700, maybe a week, to trap the longs below these ones. I'll check that later. Below this support here. But if I look at the chart, Bitcoin doesn't look bad at all. Okay, doesn't look bad at all. And so yeah, let's aim for continuation. And like I've been always saying, on the higher time frame, so far we are still ranging. We haven't conquered anything. 0. Okay, only a few intermediary resistances. And if we break 74500, then we are okay. Then we can be happy that everything is going to resolve and Bitcoin is going higher, maybe 80K, etc. But first, there's a lot of work to do, and we need to see it go higher, and we need to see a higher high. Okay, if you want to break this range, we need to see a higher high. And there's still the chance that we do something like this. You have a high here, we reject, we cannot break this low, and then we go, and then we do like this. Perfectly possible, okay? Perfectly possible. So far, what we are seeing is just range trading. It's awesome for scalps, like I've been telling you, and you should be scalping, especially on Bluefin. We are going to have a competition. If you are not registered on Bluefin, you will not be able to enter. You need to go here. You need to go here, and you have the link. You register on Bluefin, and then you can enter the competition. I'll have more details on that in the next days, but you need definitely to register with this link, or you won't be able to join the competition and all the bonus and everything that we are going to get for you. Okay, now I'll check the comments in a moment. This is what I'm seeing for Bitcoin right now, and there you can argue that there's the risk that we might lose this support. It might happen, but again, even if we come to this lower 69 something, there are some longs here for sure. There's a chance for that, but let's see. It's not looking bad. Okay, it's doing some constructive work. High retest of the previous resistance support, go higher, and that's what we've been seeing. So far, till we even can come here, and it's fair game. Okay, we can retrace this move, and it will be fair game. So a pullback might happen, and it will be welcome. So I would look for around 69,400, 68,900 for an entry on a long if we get that pullback. Okay, because the market now is not looking that bad. It's undeniable looking good. So, but a pullback is needed. It has been going up for, I don't know, 3 days straight? 2 days. Yeah, 2 days straight. So yeah, a pullback is almost sure that it's going to happen. And yeah, this will be a constructive one. Coming to these levels, 69,200, 68,900 would be a good pullback for a continuation, in my opinion. So let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum is back above 2K, and that's awesome. 𝗕𝗟𝗏 must be happy with that for sure. And before going to Ethereum, let's just check the comments. If you are watching on X, you can comment that I can see, and I'm going to check the comments here on YouTube. Brooklyn, NY. I love New York. I don't know, last time I was there, I think it was 2018, but I love New York. Time to short it. I'm not going to short it today. I want to see what's going to happen. There's too much noise on the market. Good for scalping, but shorting right now, nah. Range trading with revenge trading. Yeah, I will not be shorting the market right now, but that's just me, okay? If you want to take a short, you can short Ethereum, okay? It's on the, look, it rejected here several times. I'm not going to take this one, but if you wanted to, there's worse places to short. Again, I'm not going to take this one, but if you want to short it, you can do something like this and aim for, I don't know if the RR is here. Just a quick scalp. Targeting this here, and the stop loss needs to be really tight. And I would leave it around here. But I don't think this is going to play out, honestly. Like a really tight stop loss. Something like this. That if you get stopped, you get stopped. That's it. You don't care. Yeah. This might, yeah, but now it's, let's do it like this. You can leave it a little bit room to breathe because of this week here. But yeah, if you wanted to short, now if I wanted to short, I would short it here. I don't have any issues with that. Look, 1, 2, and yeah, 3 times that you have been here and rejected. So there's worse place to short. So moving forward, I want to look at CRV also, because CRV is really showing some strength. And yeah, I think you should pay attention to CRV. And I've been saying this a lot, and I think it's one of those tokens that you should definitely be looking at. And if Bitcoin keeps going higher, I do believe that CRV is going to surprise a lot of people. Okay? 𝗪𝗡 is scalping. Dubai is over, bro. Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that. I could, but I can tell you one thing. As soon as the airspace is open, I'm flying to Dubai. So, yeah. It's like crypto. It's always over till it's not. So, like I would say, for CRV, I wouldn't do anything here. Okay? Although I'm bullish on CRV, although I do believe that CRV might surprise a lot of people, and I do believe, and I have my spot bags, and I have my CRV loans, I would be careful here because it's been going almost against the market. It's kind of like Convex. Okay, Convex doesn't care about the market. Doesn't care. It just keeps going higher, and this needs to pull back. And I'm looking for a pullback so I can open a position on Convex. I haven't yet, but yeah, Convex needs to pull back. Convex needs to pull back, and I'm being totally transparent with all of you. I have both tokens here. Usually the tokens that I mention, I'm invested because that's how I know how they behave. And Convex is going completely crazy. Completely crazy. I don't know what's your average price, but yeah. If you research Convex, I need to do a video about Convex. If you research Convex, the supply and everything they are doing, I think you'll understand why I'm bullish on it. I think you'll understand why. But I do believe this will be a good short. And again, this is just paper trading. I'm not going to short it. But I do believe that this might be a good short. Unless you get a spike like this, and then, yeah, you get stopped out. That's part of the game. But if you want to try to do something here, I would leave it. Let me check. Some week here. Yeah, I would leave something like this. And I'll be targeting this area here. Okay. Again, I'm not taking any shorts here, but if I wanted to short it, let me just put it on entry. Yeah. Now it's on entry, right? Yeah. So I'll leave it like this. Okay, targeting this area here. And yeah, above the wick here. But we can get a spike like this and then drop. That might happen a lot. Okay, that happens a lot. Sorry, on Convex. Be careful of the wicks. But yeah, I think this might play out. Let me check this one. How is it going? Again, paper trading. I'm not taking these trades here. Okay, I don't want to take these trades. I'm not going to short the market. I just don't want to do it. So yeah, it's going well. So if anyone took it, okay, let me see. Virtual. Yeah, I want to talk about virtual, but I want to talk about this also. I'll chart virtual in a moment. If you watch my show on Banter on Saturday, I talk about banks, and I talk about Kraken now doesn't need an intermediary bank. They can just transfer. They can just wire money. So, and that's, I think you need to understand that. Okay, if you want to deposit money on an exchange right now, use an intermediary bank. It depends where you live, but yeah, imagine that you have Revolut between. You need to send to Revolut, and Revolut credits Kraken account, and then the money is on your account. This was a boring process that used to take days, 1 to 3 days, whatever. So now Kraken doesn't need that. Go watch my live stream on Saturday that I detailed this and I explained exactly what was going on and the implication it had for the banks. And the banks are not happy. Banks are not happy with this because with Kraken getting, it's not a master account, it's like a smaller one. It's affecting their business because Kraken needs to have 100% of their reserves because they are not a bank. They have an access to a bank, to a Fed master account, but they are not a bank, so they need to have 100% of the customer reserves. Like I said on Saturday, they are more conservative than Bank of America. Think about that, or JP Morgan, because they don't use fractional reserve, they use their banks. They use 100% reserves. Now they want to sue. They want to sue the 𝗖𝗍 because they are giving bank licenses. This is how afraid they are. Look, we have the stablecoins, the Clarity Act being held hostage from the banks because of the stablecoin yields. And now we have banks trying to sue 𝗖𝗍 because they're giving bank license to crypto exchanges. How crazy is this? Do you know how crazy this is? Like, yeah, we lie. I don't know what to tell you about this. Honestly, it's just yeah, they are afraid. Usually, I joke a lot that they are afraid, and they are not winning. But yeah, they really are afraid. They are really suing the OCC for this. So you have a lot of them waiting for an approval. Kraken was the first one. We have BitGo, Ripple, Paxos, Fidelity, and Crypto.com already has, Bridge already has, and Stripe already has. So yeah, it's like don't touch my cheese. That's how you say it, right? Don't touch my cheese. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen really. I think they should just cooperate and that's it. I'm not I'm not the guy about the bad bill, good bill. I think it's a bill that we need. We cannot go there and take over everything. That's not how things should work. They've been here for years. They have a business. They have an impact. And I know that we need to understand that, yeah, we like crypto. We don't like banks. I'm 100% with you. But I also know that if we do that and if we have stable coins offering 5% while they do 0.2, and if they don't raise rates, they'll get less liquidity, less customers, more unemployment. So we need to understand this, and we need to not think just for ourselves. But be my guest, if they want to do 5% yield, then let's go. And let's go. That's up to them. I think it's risky that the Clarity Act doesn't get approved, to be honest. I think it's really risky that it doesn't get approved. Now, let's look at HBAR. Again, I'm an HBAR bull, and this is almost, I feel like it's 2022. I feel it's like 2022 when I was always saying, look at HBAR, and then it pulled a massive move. We had a long time to accumulate, and it pulled a nice move. I'm not saying it's going to 10x now, okay? I'm not saying that, just telling you that it did a 10x. It was one of my best holdings. It was HBAR and XRP, those two tokens that no one likes. It was the best ones, the ones that perform better. So, looking at HBAR, it's at resistance. I think we might come lower. Again, I don't want to short it, but if you want to, I think there's a chance of a short here. Okay, but I also don't think that the RR is zero. I'm talking about maybe dropping from 9.6 to 9.5 something, maybe a bit lower. So yeah, I'm not taking the risk here, but if you want to long it around these levels, there might be a trade here also, okay? You might want to look at this at HBAR, look at it, and again, have you done your homework? Have you studied this pattern here? Let me know in the comments what you think about this. I told you about this pattern here, so just go check it. Now, Link, another one that's ranging. I think the market is waiting for something, to be honest. The way I'm seeing this, we don't have anything. No. We don't have anything. We don't have any news, but I think the market is waiting for something. Honestly, that's what I believe. I do believe that the market is waiting. It's on a limbo here because yesterday Trump said what I just showed you, and then now we are having more strikes today. It doesn't seem that Iran is de-escalating anything. So, or we are going to have, I don't know who said this. Trap drill something said it's 100% short. It might be right, to be honest. If I look at these charts, I want to short it. I'm not shorting it because the US market is going to open in like 1 hour. We are having data. So, but yeah, I want to short as a quick scalp. Okay. And now I'm going to tell, if I shorted this, I'm not going to short, I already told you. But if I shorted this, I'll do something like, still, I don't think we have an RR here. Yeah, we don't. It's like 1. Even with a tight stop loss, yeah. I can short this. I can short and I cannot long it. Today's those live streams that we are not going to do anything. We don't short, we don't long, we don't do anything. We try to find a trade, but maybe sometimes the trade isn't there. Let me see this one. And we haven't been stopped yet. Was really counting that this one will be stopped. Nope. Still not stopped. Someone is looking for virtual. I don't own any virtual. I don't know what was this year, honestly. I don't know why it moved like this. Check on the... I would be careful with this move here. I would be really careful with this move here. I would be careful here. I'm not talking about spot, I'm talking about trading. This was a good short. This would have been a good short. Now it's too late, but this would have been a good short. It might come lower. But yeah, if I would look for virtual, I'll be looking at these levels here. I would see the reaction around these levels here. I'm not going to long it now for sure, but I would look at these levels here. Around 65.49 and 67.30. That's what I will do. But this is just me, okay? I don't have any interest on trading this at the moment. No interest at all. Let's check AVAX. Yeah, AVAX is not... There's nothing here also. Let's see if we have any comments. Yeah. Let me see. Do we still have time? Yeah, still have time. The Bank of Devil. ADP 150k versus... Let me check ADP. Let's check the ADP. Because the market is not reacting yet. Let's check the ADP. I don't have the ADP here yet. Let's see if I can find on X. You sure that it's already out? I don't have it here. Let's see if we can find on X. See, now Trump is saying that he might talk to Iran. It's part of the playbook. I told you, the de-escalation. I'm going to show you this also. I just want to find the ADP numbers. I don't have any ADP numbers yet. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying that on my side I don't have it yet. But yeah, should be out. I don't know why you are not watching it, but it's not here. So, but like I was saying, if you follow the steps that we were talking about Trump, now he's saying that first he said he didn't want to talk with he didn't want to talk about with anyone from Iran. Now it's possible to talk with Iran. And if you go here, this is exactly the other playbook that we have been talking about. The 8th step. We might be getting there. See? Behind the scenes negotiation. This might be already happening. So, yeah. This is, I think, I'm almost sure that this is already on the description. If not, it will be. So that you can check for yourself. But this is the playbook. Again, it's not my playbook. It's not my analysis. It's from the 𝗘𝗍𝗫. But yeah, if this is true, that we are seeing here, Trump says it's possible he could talk to Iran. You are already here. It's because it's already been negotiated behind the scenes. So let's hope there is true more. I know the market and whatever, but I think it's... I prefer that the war is over because of humanity than anything else, and because of the cost of living that everyone is facing right now. So yeah, that's what I think it will be best. And yeah, the markets are just a consequence of the end of the war. Okay, let's say like this. Now, looking at AVAX, we need to do something with meme coins. So If you want to, I don't know if this is going to get filled, but if I wanted to long AVAX, I will do it here. Yeah. And stop loss, a very tight one. Something like this. Maybe lower. Yeah. Below this week here. And I will target this high here. Okay. If we get filled. Okay, I'm not sure we are going to get filled. I'm not sure we're going to get filled on this one, but this is what I will do. This is our barometer of the market right now. Still on entry, so let's see. But this is right now, it's how we can feel the market. Let me see. Quant. Let me check the time frame on quant. I really like quant, as you know. I already told you my story with quant. And I like when quant moves because usually it's a nice move. It's a really nice move when it moves. But right now the market kind of feels heavy. I have to be honest with you. The market right now feels a bit heavy unless there's something coming. Yeah, it's starting to feel heavy. But quant is at support right now. Let's check the lower time frame. It's always like this. I'm always saying I'm not going to open any trades because of the US is starting their session, and then we start with a few trades. It's always like this. Always. Do we have likes? I need to know if you have any likes. So quant. If you want to do an aggressive entries now, if you want to wait, it's a few cents different. To be honest, it's like waiting for this. But if you want to go aggressive on this one, which is a risky one, you need to go now, and you are going to get it. You go aggressive. You place a stop loss here around maybe a bit lower. Something like this. Again, remember that I told you the market feels heavy. Okay, so it's probably going to test lower. It's not a big difference, but this week here, it might come to this week. Okay, just be ready for that. There's a big chance that it might come lower, and yeah, then you can target this high. And it's not a bad trade at all. Like it's for risk reward. So Will is here. Will is awesome. He's been helping a lot with the show, so it's all this year. But yeah, I'll take this one, and probably I will take this one. Probably I will take this trade. I'm not shorting, although the market seems heavy. Right now I know it's against the trend, or it's against what the market is feeling, but I do believe that shorting now it's not very smart. Maybe it's not smart to long too, but yeah. It's more feeling than anything else. And so do we have a long opportunity here? We might have an opportunity here. Let me check our barometer. Still at the entry. Do we have an opportunity here? We might have. It's very risky. It's very risky right now. This might be a good opportunity. If this support holds, this might be a good long. Yeah, I'm not going to take this. I'm going to stop. I need to remember that the US is going to open. We don't trade between sessions. We don't trade between sessions. So yeah, I'm not going to. I think it will be a good long, to be honest. And I think it's trying to confirm. It's now starting to confirm that it will be a good long. But yeah, focused. We do not trade between sessions, right? We do not do it. That's the worst time to trade. Guys, I'm closing up here. Thank you for being here. Remember, I told you yesterday I will be dropping something on my X for free. It's a tool. I did it. So just follow me on X. You have the links below. And I'll see you tomorrow.